I've slept on it. I've thought about it. I come to a crazy conclusion about yesterday's game. Sometimes you get your ass whooped and you just got to take it and go on. You can do one or two things about it. You can like it or you can deal with it. Hopefully, in Tennessee's case, they deal with it. This is the next day. My name is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. Thank you for tuning in with me. There's a lot to dissect in this game. A lot of comments. I went back and looked at both sides' comments, and I thought a lot of it was really interesting what Chris Jans had to say, Mississippi State's coach, and what Rick Barnes had to say about yesterday's game. Now, I'll kind of look at a little bit of the ranking. We'll try to fit a lot in to a little time right here on it. But, the bottom line is Tennessee yesterday gets bounced from the SEC tournament. They fall 73-56 in what I would rank as their worst showing of the season. I don't think it's even close, to be honest with you. I really don't. For the plus minus, the whole team minus JP Estrella and Freddie DeLeon were in the minus for the game. And those guys are probably more in the plus just because they played little minutes yesterday. But Estrella did get a little bit of run late in the game. But, kind of breaking this game down, there's not a whole lot you can really say other than what I said earlier. People try to say, well, this team, it's March. It's regular season Rick taking over all this. Is it the end of the world? I don't know. I don't think it is. It's the SEC tournament. If this happens again in a week, oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a problem then. Yesterday, who knows, guys? Maybe they're just all Irish. Maybe they're ready to celebrate St. Patrick's Day this weekend. Maybe they want to get an early start on it. But, all kidding aside on it, sometimes a team has your number. Mississippi State, they're the only team in conference that Tennessee played this year, if I'm not mistaken, and did not lose to. That is the only team that did not lose to Tennessee that was on the schedule this year. Something at both games were very similar. Mississippi State got big leads in the first half of both games. The difference was when Tennessee made a little bit of a run yesterday, Mississippi State shut it off. And, that game never, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, the closest I think it got was like 12 points in the second half, and then Mississippi State shut it down. Thought some comments from Chris Jans were interesting about it. Both coaches very complimentary of one another. Players very, there was a heavy amount of respect, it seemed like, from both teams, which was good to see. It was just something they felt like they could match up with them. And we'll see if I can go back and find Jan's comments here. He said they asked him about it. I think y'all are the only team in the league that haven't lost to Tennessee this season. Was there something about that matchup you felt good about going into this? Or is that your guys having two good days? And Chris Jan said it doesn't happen very often, but we actually felt good going into the first game, even this afternoon with a similar mindset that we really wanted to attack inside out and try to go at Adu and their other bigs as much as we could. He was very complimentary of Jonas Adu. He said, and this is a fact, we've seen it in numerous games. He hit the nail on the head right here. We felt like we had a little bit at times of weight at edge. Try to get our back down game, get Jimmy and Tulu get to the free throw line while you're trying to pound the ball inside on the perimeter. Obviously, it starts with connecting. Ziegler will connect. You do the best you can. Make him a volume scorer. Make it hard with Ziegler. You've got to do your best. They're obviously both really good players. We felt good about the matchup, and that's helped us. We beat them. We got confidence going into this game. Our kids felt good about the matchup all day long. They had a game plan. They stuck to it. Inside out, attack Jonas Adu, make Dalton Connect earn it, make Zakai Ziegler earn it. There was nothing easy yesterday. You've seen this with Tennessee when they play those physical teams. When they played South Carolina made it hard on them. Mississippi State makes it hard on them. Sometimes matchups are matchups. It's just like with Auburn and South Carolina. Same record in conference. Auburn destroyed South Carolina twice this year. Did it again yesterday with them. Here recently, Florida, Alabama. Similar matchup teams. Florida has had Alabama's number the last two times on it. Does that mean they're better? I don't know. I definitely still think Tennessee's a better team than Mississippi State overall, but there's something about this matchup that is a problem for Tennessee, and they're going to see it again in this tournament. So, I said you can like it or deal with it. Well, what Rick Barnes and company, it's go back to Knoxville, and you figure it out with it. Now, switching over to what Barnes had to say Are you concerned about some guys passing up shots, looks? Yes. He said we talked about it. He said again, whether people think they're putting it on Dalton said he's got to do a better job of shot selection. I think more of it has put on Z, to be honest with you. So you've seen it more lately of Ziegler trying to take over games. They're covering Connect pretty well. So Ziegler's trying his best to step up. There's other guys not stepping up on this team, and we know who they are. All right. I don't really have to go into detail, but I'm going to come to a question here in a minute that'll answer it pretty easily. Let's see. Let me go back and find some of these older guys. Anything you can say to them that hasn't been said yet about trying to figure out what's going on there offensively? I think we can narrow that one down to a couple guys. Well, Barnes said, well, we do a lot of different things. We go back, put together a video of them playing well, making shots. We're going to do it all. I think the biggest thing is, again, what we've always done. We'll watch the tape. Again, the tape's going to point out everything we've talked about. But he says, like I said, there's nothing that they did that we can't fix, that we haven't been able to fix before. But then he goes on to the next paragraph and he says, understand that there's no more fixing. It's done. You got to get it done right now. You can't look back and think again the question about a mindset. He said, I thought we'd be ready to play based on how we prepared coming in. He said, know how bad Z wanted to play well because he wasn't part of the tournament last year. And then this was an interesting point. He said, still, this is all new to Dalton. Today, I thought he played like it. He's got to understand how he's going to figure out ways to impact the game when he's not making shots other people are playing him. One of them simply run the court hard, pulling people with him. The key is we've all got to be honest. Myself, look at it, see what I didn't think we did or I did well, what our staff didn't do to get ready, because we have to avoid it some way, somehow. I have all the confidence these guys will figure it out because they have all year. We'll go back and learn from it and get ready for next week. So some interesting comments there. It seems to me, did this team just come in thinking Mississippi State's going to roll over and just let them waltz through? No, absolutely not. SEC tournament's been a little chaotic right now. Auburn is the only higher seed yesterday who advanced. Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, all sitting at home watching the rest of the weekend. To me, is it the end of the world? No. It's all about that one seed from the get-go. It was all about the one seed. And really, for me, I still will maintain there's not a big difference in 1 and 2 seed. But history suggests, and the numbers are there to back it up, 1 seeds advance more often than 2 seeds. So, you know, history's undefeated. And what it does, history is history. You cannot change it. Okay, you can't change what's in the past. You can change what's in the future, obviously. So Tennessee's goal at this point is you need to be a 2 seed that takes out a 1 seed if it comes to that moving forward. So what are we looking at from Tennessee's perspective? 2 seed at this point. I think North Carolina is going to be that 4th number 1. Tennessee and Arizona both get beat last night. Had North Carolina got beaten, Pitt was up on them for a bit. Tennessee would have still been in play for that 4th number 1 seed. At this point, I think a lot of these, and I'm looking at a lot of these rankings, they all have Arizona ahead of Tennessee. I don't agree with that right now. And I look at the different, metrics, Ken Palm, I look at the net rankings and stuff. They actually have Auburn ahead of Tennessee as well. I don't know how I get that, to be honest with you. The net rankings have Auburn 4th. Ken Palm has Auburn at 4th. So that makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder. I just don't see it happening. Are we not talking about Auburn possibly sneaking in with all these metrics, all these rankings favoring them so highly? If North Carolina slips up today and Auburn wins the SEC tournament, is there a way they can sneak up into that 1 seed? I don't think so. I think the percentage is extremely small of that happening. May not even be a possibility of it. It may have been coming into this weekend, Tennessee, Arizona, North Carolina for that 4th number 1. But if Auburn wins the SEC tournament, it would not surprise me to see them work their way up to a number 2 if conference tournaments matter. But we saw it again 2 years ago where Tennessee won the conference tournament. It looked like, that would propel them to a 2 seed. It did not. So I don't know. The conference tournaments are weird. It just depends on the year and what they decide they want to measure in regard to it. So was this performance yesterday something to be worried about, or could it be a blessing in disguise? Rick Barnes made the comment in one of them. See if I can find it here, where he said, He'd rather get it out of the way now. He's hoping that they got this performance out of the way now. Somebody did ask him, is he concerned? He said, yeah, I'm concerned. He said he's not just like scared, but he said he's always concerned because he wants to make sure the team is, of course, playing right. And he did tell the team, I hope you remember what this feeling is feeling like. He said, because the next time you feel it, it's over with. So the fortunate thing is maybe they weren't feeling good yesterday. They still got another chance. If they're sitting here next week, the weekend after, or whenever, with that feeling, this season's done. I hope they remember that coming in. If they're having trouble getting motivated at this point in the season, you're going to see them making an exit early next weekend. There's absolutely, and a coach, Barnes gets too much flack over this. Barnes can't hit the open shots. They had a game plan. If the players go away from Mississippi State impacted that game plan with how they played. They played physical. They took Tennessee out of their dimensions. Could they have adjusted? That's on the coaches to get adjustments, but it's also on the players to hit shots. It's on the players to take shots. It's on your fifth-year seniors to act like fifth-year seniors and act like you want to be there and win instead of just going through the motions. Give me a Jemai Mashack who's out there busting his ass every game, playing defense, taking shots even though he's not the shooter. Give me a Zakai Ziegler, not a perfect point guard. He makes mistakes, but you know what? The guy's out there giving it all the time. He's trying to take over when others aren't. Those two guys alone were trying to bring that team back late in the game yesterday. Dalton Knecht's body language at times, let's face it, he's been great this year. When he gets roughed up a little bit, his body language suffered yesterday. All right, maybe I don't know, maybe others noticed that as well, but he's going to get it in the NCAA tournament. You can either pout about it or you can make something happen. Earlier in the year, Dalton Knecht, when somebody got in his face, he answered. Let's see how he answers next weekend. They're going to be a 2 seed. I'm pretty confident of that. What region are they going to be in? Lenardi has them with Purdue now. Had them with Houston yesterday. So, I had a Kentucky fan comment, and I'm going to give Kentucky fans that have commented on the House of Orange credit, man. They've all been nice. They've all been respectful. Every fan base has its bad eggs in it. Every fan base has those that just makes your whole fan base look crazy. We know Tennessee has some as well. The Kentucky fans that have come on here, man, they've all been good. I've enjoyed them coming on, giving their perspective. Well, one of them, he commented that, and I agree with him, maybe this is not the worst thing. You would have been a number 1 in the West, meaning you get to the Sweet 16, you're playing in Los Angeles. Well, let's say you go to the South now. I can't remember where the South Sweet 16 and Elite 8 are at. It'll obviously be closer than Los Angeles. We do know that. So let's say you get put in the South or even the East, possibly. You get more fan support, and we know Tennessee teams will travel. Tennessee fans will travel for their team. Maybe this is not a bad thing. Maybe it's not. I mean, because my thinking at this point, Connecticut, Houston, Purdue, North Carolina, your 4 number 1s. North Carolina's going to go west at this point. Arizona, I think based on normally they match up a little regional-wise. Pac-12, that's going to be a disadvantage for North Carolina, possibly with Arizona, that 2 seed in the West. And then if they do all make it to Los Angeles, you're going to have, of course, North Carolina fans will travel as well. You get Tennessee in with Houston or Purdue, depending on who the overall number 1 is. Right now, all the polls, all these rankings have Houston as the 1. So if that's the case, I think Tennessee does match up with Purdue right there. If Tennessee is, say, that 5-6, they're either with North Carolina or they're with Purdue. Tennessee's played Purdue. They played them pretty tough. I said I'd like another shot at Mississippi State, and I eat my words on that. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I would like to send Zach Edey home. I would love to send Zach Edey home. I think he's big. He does his job. Okay? He's just bigger than others. He's not that skilled. You look at his shot chart, it's all free throwing in. With Jonas Adu, Awaka, those guys, if it gets to that point, I'd be all for it. Again, maybe Purdue. And at some point, by God, Tennessee has got to beat Purdue in something. Why not this year be that year? I'm going to wrap it up on that. There's a lot. I've kind of rambled and went on here, but I thought there was a lot of good stuff. And, a lot leading up to Selection Sunday. Tomorrow, we'll know Tennessee's fate, their seeding tomorrow evening, and that 6 to 7 o'clock range, depending on how early their bracket is announced. I think 1 seed's gone. 2 seed is highly. People are saying, "Oh, they'll drop to a 3 or 4." No, they won't. They're a 2 seed. They will not drop below a 2 seed. Let's be rational about it. They are a 2 seed. They'll have a chance to avenge us. They'll have a chance to bounce back for it. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe you get that week of rest. Barnes did talk about, though, he says, when we've come out of these long weeks, we've not played good. So what is going on during those long weeks? It's causing him to come out flat. They'll get another chance to do it. Maybe the third time's the charm next week. Baseball post game, I'll be live tonight. Hopefully I won't be exhausted like last night. I had to re-record the video, and then when I re-recorded, I forgot to put the freaking score in there, of all things, even though I talked about the rest. I was absolutely exhausted when I recorded that. But hopefully I'll include the score tonight on that. So I apologize for not putting that in. It was just an error of exhaustion, plain and simple. But thank you guys for tuning in. Be safe this St. Patrick's Day weekend. It's a great holiday. It's a great weekend. My name's Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. As always, go Vols.